This video is dedicated to all the amazing people that have helped me during my time at high school. Thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. This video is for you. Hello, my dearest angels. It's me, Lord Nicolina, and welcome to a super special episode of Angel Rise. And by a super special episode, what do I mean? By that I mean, it'll most likely be one of the biggest episodes in the history of this series so far. So let's get right to it. One of the most recognizable features on my character you'll probably notice are 3 red and black lightning bolt tattoos on my left shoulder. Those are meant to represent claw marks from a big feline-based animal. To be exact, a panther, which happens to be the mascot of the high school that I went to, called Paris District High School. And today, I will be talking about my experience there. And for the purpose of this video, I will be referring to my high school as simply PDHS. The story begins around a couple of years before I actually began high school. Around that time, I was given an opportunity to go to another school, that being St. John's College, which is not that far from PDHS. And also, my uncle taught there. However, since PDHS was a lot closer to where I lived, I immediately declined. I also declined because it was a Catholic school, and around that time, I didn't believe as much in God as I do today. Now, flash forwarding a few months before I began high school. I was still in the midst of my final year of elementary school when I was given a chance to experience PDHS itself with another student. To be exact, I was this student's shadow. Or more or less, just walking around with him. So anyways, the day was perfectly simple. I walked along with this student to experience his classes, and even got to have a special lunch with him. Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, it was a very good experience. And I felt I'm definitely ready for this. My parents had their doubts, however, considering that the final couple of years of my elementary school life were not as good. They were worried that this might carry over to high school. But I didn't think too much of it. And then, on September the 8th, 2015, my high school life officially began at PDHS. At first, I was a tiny bit nervous, since this was a new start for me. And of course, high school is a lot different than elementary school. Well, my elementary school day was from 8:45 in the morning to 3:05 in the afternoon. My high school day was 9 to 3, basically 20 minutes less than at elementary school. But almost immediately, I became used to the new atmosphere. Then, about a month in, or just over a month in, this is where things started to take off. I was eating lunch in the cafeteria when I was approached by my hockey teacher, Mr. Crosby. And no, it's not Sidney Crosby, the NHL superstar. It was a different Mr. Crosby. Just so you know. But anyways, so he came up to me during lunch and he asked me if I wanted to be part of the boys hockey team, like help out with them. And since I loved the hockey program that I was enrolled in that semester around the time, I just couldn't say no to that. So I said yes, and little did I know, that decision was going to change my whole high school experience forever. At first, I started off as an equipment manager, mainly taking care of any parts that players may need for their helmets or their sticks. I did actually mention that in episode 4 of the series. I'll pop a link on the screen there, just in case if you wanted to check that out. Yeah, but anyways, during that stretch, Mr. Crosby actually invited me to say a few things to the boys after every practice. And without hesitation, I did so. And that's what became a common practice during practices and games. This is where the boys hockey teams realized that I was a big part of the team. That came to me as a total surprise, because a lot of these guys on the boys hockey team were in either grades 11, 12, or doing a victory lap year of high school. And I'm like, how can a grade 9 influence guys these old? But hey, anybody can influence anyone, if you know what I mean. Now moving on, about a month after I officially joined the boys hockey team, we played in a tournament called the Grand Eerie Cup, which of course PDHS won, and I was there. And afterwards, after the title game, the boys team gave me the game puck. If you guys are wondering what is a game puck, well, game puck is something what hockey teams do to recognize their best player of the game. And they recognized me as their MVP of that game, even though I wasn't an actual player. And things just only went up from there. The peak of this came on February 16th, 2016, when the PDHS boys hockey team defeated rival Brantford Collegiate Institute, aka BCI, in the county championship 4-1. It was the first county boys hockey championship for PDHS. And afterwards, without hesitation, the boys team set me up with their team captain to accept the championship trophy. And I was actually the first to hoist it. And I felt like, did I seriously just do this? Oh my god. And afterwards, when we were in the dressing room, I said to the boys hockey team, "What a game, boys. What a game. Let's continue this to regionals." The team did indeed continue their winning ways into regionals. However, we did fall short of making provincials. We ended up losing in the final 5-2. But in all seriousness, I wasn't disappointed. I felt the team played very well. But to come up just one win short, it is agonizing, and even in my first year, I feel that making the finals at regionals was mission accomplished. And at that point, I realized that the hockey teams were my peak point in starting my school spirit. Now, before I get on to my school spirit part, I would like to continue my story with the hockey teams. I did come back to the boys hockey team in my second year of high school. However, I was slightly impatient. Well, it wasn't because of the way they were playing. It was just more or less their discipline that I was worried about. During my time with the boys hockey team, sometimes I would get quite overwhelmed and would have to leave the bench to take breaks to try and cope with what was going on. Oftentimes I was okay in the end, but other times I didn't feel like I could go back on the bench. And that's when regionals of my second year hit. And that's when I felt, I don't know if I can do this anymore. After the boys hockey team got eliminated in round robin of regionals, I told them after their last game that I was going to be leaving the team. And I'm going to be honest, it was quite tough. But at the same time, I felt something needed to change. And it needed to happen, like, ASAP. And after I walked out of that locker room, I felt like I was done with hockey at PDHS. Like, I was through with it. On the car ride back, however, my mom had thought of something else. Something she thought would make me feel a lot better. That being to stay within hockey at PDHS, but switch to the girls' team. And I was wondering, like, why? And she told me that boys are less disciplined than girls are. And I felt like, maybe that could work out. So that's when I made the official move to the girls' hockey team. And just like with the boys' hockey team, the girls' hockey team welcomed me with open arms. And some of the players I knew on that team were actually from the hockey class that I took back in grade 9, and a couple from my elementary school days. Could you believe that? And just like what Mom told me on the car ride back from the regionals the previous year, this team was a lot more disciplined. And like with the boys hockey team, I gave the girls hockey team motivational speeches before, during, and after every practice and game. And boy, they were quite a winning bunch. In my first year with the girls hockey team, we made it to the county final against none other than BCI, who they actually lost to for 2 consecutive years. But did they beat them this time? Sadly, that wasn't meant to be. It was a 2-0 loss for Paris. I was pretty upset after the game, but I did cool down afterwards. Because I know how much it would have meant to the team if they would have won. But I didn't give up hope. Regionals was next up, and it was a good one. The girls' hockey team finished second in their group, which meant they were going to the playoff round. However, they did end up losing in the semifinal 3-1, and they played one heck of a game. Unbelievable. And afterwards, I got a picture with them. Because I felt, this is such a memorable moment. I cannot let it go to waste. Yeah, I just felt like this really is the beginning of a new era for me. This is where it's really gonna peak. I even made a drawing for the team, which they all signed. They all signed it. And that was something else that I would do the following year. Even though we didn't do that well then the following year. But still though, it was pretty fun, to be part of a team that was competitive, yet wanted to have fun at the same time. My overall time with both hockey teams has overall been amazing. One takeaway I would like to mention from my experience with the hockey teams is just being there and being an autistic person coaching a hockey team, being an assistant coach to high school hockey teams. Can you believe that? And I bet you none of those players ever had, an autistic person on the bench being their coach. And I am sure it was a great influence on their lives, as much as they have influenced my life. The hockey teams were the big point of my high school experience. And you're probably wondering, was I part of another team besides the hockey teams? As a matter of fact, I was. In my first year, I was a part of the boys' soccer team. Well, basically doing the same things I did with the boys' hockey team. And why was I on there? Well, because the assistant coach, one of the assistant coaches on the boys' hockey team was the head coach of the boys' soccer team. And he wanted to bring me on. And without hesitation, I accepted. And though that experience wasn't quite as prominent as my time with the hockey teams, it still was fun. Heck, even some of the boys' hockey team members were part of the boys' soccer team. Yeah, but like I said, it wasn't as big of an experience as with the hockey teams, but it was still pretty memorable, to say the least. Now you're probably wondering, how well did I do academically? To put it simply, I did very well. So well, in fact, that I managed to get on honor roll every single year that I was at high school. Yes, you heard that right. Every single year, I was on honor roll. And you're probably wondering, how did I do that? Well, it was pretty simple. The average grade, where I live, in order to get on honor roll in all of your classes combined, is 80%. Yes, 80% average in all of your classes combined If you get that, you make it to the honor roll. I won't share with you my actual grades for privacy reasons, but I will share with you the range I got them within. So, starting with grade 9, I was in the low 80s. In grade 10, I was also in the low 80s. In grade 11, I was in the low 90s. And in grade 12, I was in the mid 80s. And you're probably wondering, how did I do that? Well, there's different levels of classes where I live. There's academic, applied, and workplace. Yeah, to be exact, academic is it's like the top class. Like, you're memorizing everything, and you're just super smart. The range I was in, applied, teaches things a lot more carefully and in a lot more detail. And that's where most of my classes were. So that's why my marks were so freakishly high. And in grades 11 and 12, where I got more of my higher marks during my high school experience, I actually got some awards for them. And yes, it's true, you can get awards for having the highest mark in any class. And to be exact, in grade 11, I had the highest mark in 3 of my 8 classes. Yes, you heard that right. 3 of my 8 classes, I had the highest marks in grade 11. And in grade 12, I only had 2 classes where I had the highest mark in. Yeah, but I still got awards for them. And I'm gonna be honest with you, they were pretty awesome, to say the least. Let's get back into my involvement within the school for a minute. Along with the sports teams that I joined, I also joined a couple clubs during my time at high school. Those being Athletic Council, which runs like all the athletics events, including pep rallies, Student Council, of course the big one, and I was also part of a club called AV Club, which was a media club. Yep, all 3 of those clubs were pretty cool. And even though in some clubs I didn't stay for pretty long, at the same time I felt, I wonder what could be going on within the school. Well, so that's basically why I joined. Within my further involvement in the school, also came some of my favorite memories, a couple of which I would like to share with you. The first memory I would like to share with you comes with Athletics Club, which happened back in November of 2016. On that day, we went to a place called Skyzone, and you're probably wondering, what is Skyzone? Well, Skyzone is a trampoline complex. And I thought, a trampolining complex? My goodness. Yeah, considering, I used to bounce a lot on the trampoline back at my old place, I figured, hey, this would be a nice throwback. Well, at least now that I think of it. And I honestly had a fun time there. Yeah, let me be honest with you. And also on that day, if I'm correct, we also went laser tagging. And I've heard of the game beforehand, but never experienced what it was actually like. And though I wasn't the best at it, let me be honest with you, it was still pretty fun as well. The second favorite memory that I want to share with you is volunteering for volleyball tournaments. To be exact, volleyball tournaments at the high school. And what do I mean by that? Well, to be exact, they needed side judges, or side officials if you know what I mean, to call whether the ball was in or out on close plays. And I volunteered to do so. And let me be honest with you, it was actually a pretty easy job. In my view at least, but there were a couple close calls. But of course, almost all the time I got them right. Other notable memories that I've had at high school were going on a trip to see an orchestra in grade 9, volunteering for dodgeball for Heart in grades 9 and 10, volunteering for Relay for Life in grade 12, attending the staff versus student hockey game in my victory lap year, and also in my victory lap year, attending Hoops for Heart. I'm not going to get into too much detail about those events, but they are some of my favorite memories from high school that I thought I'd bring up. And now, it's time for one of the biggest parts about my high school experience. It's about how I looked on school spirit days. For the first 2 spirit days of grade 9, I just simply wore the school colors and didn't think too much of it. And I thought it was simple enough. Then, on the 3rd and final spirit day of my grade 9 year, that's when everything changed. A couple of my fellow high schoolers came up to me and asked if I wanted my face painted. And of course, I couldn't turn down the offer, so I said yes. Yeah, and what they did was they just put a little cat nose on my actual nose, and 2 cat-like whiskers in the school colors. And when the pep rally begun, this is where inspiration really hit me. But keep in mind, there will be spoilers from episode 6 here. I'll pop a link on the screen here, just in case if you want to check that out. But anyways, when it was time for the pep rally on that particular spirit day, I saw one of my friends have their face completely painted. Like, it was all red, since red is one of PDHS's colors. And I thought to myself, she looks really good. Maybe I could try that out one day. And that is exactly what happened. On Halloween 2016, I dressed up as a PDHS spirit student. I dressed up in the school colors, but more importantly, for the first time, my face was completely painted in the school colors. At first, I did only get a few comments. Yeah, but they were enough to make me smile. But little did PDHS know, this was going to be a trend of mine for spirit days to come. And the first official spirit day that I officially donned the full makeup was on the 2nd spirit day of the school year. At the pep rally that day, Athletics Council organized an activity for it, which was a fashion show. And I thought right away, I need to participate in this. So without a doubt, this was the perfect way to show my completely painted face for the first time in true PDHS form. And without a doubt, mostly everyone loved it, especially the Athletics Council members. Oh man, you should have seen the smiles on their faces. And even the signs they held up, like 10 out of 10, absolutely perfect, and even like 1000 out of 10. Like, is my face paint really that good? And of course, once that fashion show was done and over with, I without a doubt was the clear winner. I mean, was there any doubt? No doubt at all. From that day onwards, it was a trend I continued every Spirit Day. I would completely paint my face in the school colors, wear the school colors, and everybody knew almost instantly that it was me doing that. A couple notable instances of me doing this were back in my victory lap year. Those being at the 2 official Spirit Days at the school that year. Well, the first one where the vice principal pointed me out and said, "Is there anyone better to do this?" And I felt on the inside, well, is there anyone else that could do this better than me? I honestly didn't think so. At the second school Spirit Day of my victory lap year, well, more particularly at the pep rally, there is a special guest. His name is Qmac. And you're probably wondering, who is Qmac? Well, Qmac is an NBA halftime performer. And he actually called me out in a good way. He basically said, "Where's that all-star Nicolina?" And more or less, I did not hesitate to come on up. And I actually spun a basketball on a pen. Well, with Qmac's help, of course. And it felt like I'm really a true all-star. Even though I felt that way for a couple of years. Yeah, but still though, it was a pretty fun experience. And I even got to go home with my own football jersey. It's sadly not a basketball one, but they did have a football one available. Still though, it was one of the greatest Spirit Day moments of my life. But what was I like around the school, you may ask? I'll be honest with you, I was just me. Well, just being kind to everyone I meet. Well, so some of the things I did pretty often were, I was often the first student into class whenever it was close to class time. And often teachers would be surprised, thinking like, "Oh, Nicolina, you're early." Yep, and let me be honest with you, I like to be very punctual, if you know what I mean. Yep, so sometimes, it's better to be really early than to be really late. Because, you want to be extra prepared. And that's what made me popular, among my teachers. Well, along, of course, with my school spirit stuff. Yeah, but just overall, my kind nature is what brought this all to what it is. Me wanting to represent a school with so much pride, and so much strength, and so much love. that it would be impossible, to not know who I was. At restaurants, public gatherings, I felt there wasn't a single person who didn't know who I was. It even went as far as the graduates applauding me when my name was first called at the graduation ceremony for the PDHS class of 2019. And the crowd joined in as my awards were passed out, including 2 for my optimism and school spirit. Within that moment, I found something amazing. I felt that I've influenced so many people. And I felt that I've influenced such an amazing school like PDHS. And I honestly feel it was a touching thing to cap off such an amazing journey at an amazing school. Mr. Crosby said, "There needs to be more of you, Nicolina." And one of my old teachers, Mr. Burrows, said that I was the epitome of PDHS spirit. That really says to me that I am truly a shining light for this school. And knowing that I can be a heart of a school. Thank you everyone so much for watching this super special episode of Angel Rise. I hope you all enjoyed it as I did making it. I honestly can't help right now but get emotional over it. And it was an experience I will never, ever forget. If you did enjoy this episode, definitely leave a like and share this with your loved ones. Share the story. Share everything about this. And if you are new to the channel and wish to join this amazing journey of mine, then please do consider subscribing to join the Blue and White Angel Brethren today. And also hit the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I release new content. And check out my other videos as well. Thank you all so much for watching from the bottom of my heart. And until the next video rolls around, my name is Lord Nicolina. Be strong, stay positive, God bless, and Paris High forever! Ah!